Well, number 10, Julian, double figures.
And
Let's
they
have a
said
look
he
back
wouldn't
at,
make it.
yeah, they said not a chance. Look back on Bruno, Marquez, and Martin. You're going to have to explain these tyre pressure rules to
Oh,
me. I'm not the brightest when it comes to anything mechanical, so I look forward to that. Summer break coming up, so we'll have a look at the season so far. We said last week we're going to say how was it 70 years ago when MCN started reporting, and we've got what World Superbikes at the Ballanton Park, they're calling it now. I don't know if it's the Ballanton Park or Ballanton Ring, and British Superbikes at that magnificent Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit.
are there
So I
many
need to
better
get
than
up
that?
to absolutely right. Marquez and Martin. Netflix must be rubbing their hands in glee.
Comeback story after comeback story. I can't imagine that Jorge Martin or Aprilia imagined it could be as good as it was at the weekend.
He was smashed up, wasn't he?
He was,
Dear man, yeah,
I mean, the
absolutely.
Qatar
Yeah.
crash, when you're hit amidships by a racing motorcycle, it is never, ever going to be a small incident. And often it is a very, very serious, as serious as it can get incident. And we learnt that, the Jorge Martin he was afraid for everything, for his life, for his career, for the lot. He was
Mm.
severely wounded, again, for the third time in about 5 minutes. And yet he comes back, 2 point scoring rides, and looking really quite like his old self.
Summer break coming up. I think for him, probably mentally and physically, it was really important to get this one ride over with before the summer break because now he's got a bit of time to just feel how things are and really prepare for the second part of the season.
I would agree with you completely. He's going to, he's got that, as you say, his body has rediscovered what it takes to race a Grand Prix motorcycle over 40 odd minutes. And he didn't do a bad job, did he?
I thought he did an
It's only going to
amazing
get
job.
better. The Aprilia itself, I mean, compared to what we were thinking, with how many stories have turned around 180 degrees in this first half of the season, Nick? Aprilia are dead and buried. Oh, no, they're not. KTM are dead and buried. Oh,
Oh no,
oh
no,
no, they're
sorry,
not.
hang on, no, things.
Well, Pedro Acosta
That's
isn't.
that is right. And Marcus, I think it was the fifth anniversary of his horrendous crash in Jerez
Was.
last weekend, and he. I was reading a feature of Motorcycle News today. Is he going to be the greatest of all time? And you've got to start thinking that could well be the case.
It could be. I'm just looking at this season's stats. And these, if I've got my in order, this is Grand Prix races, not sprints. 8 wins, 1 second place, 1 third place, 7 fastest laps, 7 pole positions, 243 laps in the lead. Next best, Alex Marquez, 68 laps in the lead. This is just utter domination.
As big as we've seen it since Ago, since Doohan,
Yeah,
since Rossi, isn't it?
I mean, I keep, rolling out one of my favourite cliches. I've got several. Doohan-esque or doing the doing, leading
Yeah,
every session and
yeah.
never giving them one iota of hope. Just steamroller them.
Yeah.
I,
Right.
I know what Jerry Burgess used to call it, but I can't use the words.
I can imagine.
Yes.
Any clues or
The first 2 words were crush thee.
Tire pressure rules. Now, I try to understand but I'm not the tyre pressure man. It says something over the bar. Well, the only thing I've ever found over the bar is a glass that you can fill up, but it's not that, is it?
Bar is a measure of pressure. One bar is actually one atmosphere, one atmospheric. Basically, call it 15 pounds per square inch, Nick.
Yeah.
And it's used in a lot of science and engineering as the unit of pressure. So Michelin, and you've got to believe that if Michelin say it is unsafe to run low pressures lower than something, that has got to be absolutely the law. They know their product.
Yes.
And you have to be above a certain pressure, 1 point whatever it is bar, for in a sprint race at least 40% of the laps or 40% of the time, more in the Grand Prix race. And if the sensors say you are dropping below for a critical period of time, you get that light on the dashboard that Bagnaia and Marquez got and went, oh, I'd better sit up, look for somebody else. You saw what Marquez did. He let Acosta past and then rammed his front wheel up the exhaust pipe of the KTM, so the tyre would heat up and the pressure would go up. Pressure of a sealed, inside a sealed volume goes up with temperature. So, he got his temperature back up to where it needed to be to get the pressure to where it needed to be, and then said, right, penultimate lap, I'll just nip past you on the inside here and go and win. It was as cool and calculated as you like, understanding the situation. And he did, didn't he? He just rode up Acosta's pipes.
Yeah.
It was, now, this rule...
It doesn't make a good watch, does it? It doesn't make a good watch.
When you've got factory riders sitting up and looking around and waiting, it's awful. Now, I am going to quote a bloke who I very, very rarely disagree with, Ramon Facada, the old Spanish race. He was Jorge's race engineer, Yamaha race engineer for many years, and he was for many years involved in Grand Prix racing at the very highest level as a race engineer. And his thesis, let's call it his thesis, is yes, Michelin are the arbiters of what is safe, of course. It can never be any other way. But they have the data. They know what these tyres are going to do. So, Mr. Michelin, Monsieur Michelin, why don't you just specify a starting pressure? The road track temperature's that, air temperature's that, look at my tables. Okay, boys, you're starting on 1.8 bar, let's say. Just picking a number out of, 26 PSI, whatever that is. Just picking a number out of the end of my thumb, Nick. And that's the rule. You start on that and get on with it. And Ramon Facada, and if he says so, I believe him. He's of the opinion that, of course, Michelin are perfect. They have the data. They have the understanding to specify that pressure and then get out there and race. And that's it for me. The rule is horrible. What we saw in the sprint race was terrible for the credibility of Grand Prix racing. It must have embarrassed the hell out of Ducati.
Yes.
What can I say? Go the Forcada route.
Well, I think I prefer the bar that I was talking about. I think above the bar. I think I'll stick to that. But yeah, it doesn't make a good watch.
No,
right.
It does.
Halfway through the season, 120-point lead, Marquez over Marquez. But again, it's a story of the two M's again, isn't it? Martin not being able to come in and defend his world title, then falling out with Aprilia, which seems to be rectified now, and Mark just on the factory bike in a different league.
In a different league. And again, what was his fastest lap? 5 laps from the end or something? He's doing, as we keep saying, he's doing what he wants, how he wants, when he wants. Nobody is forcing his hand. I think probably the nearest we've seen to it is his brother pushing him at Assen
Yeah, yeah.
when he made a couple of shapes, and there was some early, was it Qatar? It was sometime very early in the again with Alex pushing him. The bike was making some shapes that we've not seen for ages. Because how unmarked Marquez is that completely, it looks like Jorge Lorenzo. Everything neat and tidy and in line. It's so un-Marquez, and it doesn't matter. He's just doing them in.
What about Martin, the second half of the season? He's going to come strong, isn't he? And the Aprilia looks to be improving rapidly.
Well, it does, because again, with Martin missing at the start of the year, you feared for the Aprilia development process. He's missed chunks of, it's, oh God, what's happening? Is Bez going to lead this? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And Ayagura sort of distracted us from the problems in the first few races. And now we've got Bez really sucking it to them, to use the old Jorge Martin's laughing phrase, back-to-back podiums. And you've got to believe that Martin's going to be there, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. And the summer break will get him even stronger and fitter. You mentioned KTM, who've had this... Sorry, Julian, please.
Quickly, Fernandez was fifth, wasn't he, in Brno?
Yes, he was.
On the second track house. That lad is showing signs, which I don't think many people believed was going to happen again. You'd consigned him to history, but there he is inside the top half dozen again.
We spoke about KTM. I mean, they've had a desperate time, but there were signs, once again, obviously with Acosta, but also Bastianini, that things are getting better.
Yes, wasn't it nice to see Bastianini to name again?
Yeah.
As he's always had trouble with, getting going first thing in the morning or early in a race. And here he was, podium material again. It is good to see. And KTM it's so difficult to know what's going on, isn't it? With their political problems, their financial problems. They've just lost a top engineer. It's all you feel on a knife edge there. And if you were Pedro Acosta, I don't think you'd be looking to extend your contract with KTM.
Well, no, and he apologised, didn't he, after the race, and said that he'd said things perhaps, but let's wait and see. And where's the next race? Austria. So that is going to be very interesting. What about Yamaha? I mean, the talk about the V4.
We wait,
hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, just looking at the results so far, Fabio Quartararo has had a second place and 4 pole positions. It's the old Yamaha thing. Give him a clear track without something in the way on the apex. And he's as fast as anybody. And he was robbed by fate at Silverstone.
Yes.
Miller, I thought, would be showing a little more. But Jack has always had this problem. He just can't make a tyre last. He uses it up and that's it. Seems to be the problem. Satellite Yamaha team not really troubling the scorers. We await the V4 with bated breath is all we can say.
Yeah. It is crucial, isn't it?
It's got to be, because there've been races, obviously, when Quartararo has been up the sharp end. We've all been going, Yamaha are back. Then you have a couple of races, and our memories are short, aren't they? Yeah, oh my God, where are Yamaha there? It's difficult. I mean, Honda again. We've had.
Now, I'm going to say Honda now. What about Honda?
We're right in that. You always get the impression they're busier recruiting riders for 2027 than anything else. Marini's had a few very good results.
Obviously, the French Grand Prix. Obviously, Zarco won, didn't he? In difficult circumstances.
Yes, so they have had a win. where was Marini? He was sixth or something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was recently. He's never been a meteoric rider. He's a guy who just chips away.
Yeah.
Mir has been I mean Joan Mir, don't I? The unluckiest man in the world.
Oh, without a doubt. And Sunday summed it up, didn't he? Alex Marquez took him out. I think that's the polite way of putting it, isn't it?
And he diagnosed it himself, Alex, the rims, and he said it's just a factor of being on a bike that's 10 bloody kilometres an hour slower than anything else. You're getting in the way.
Yeah.
And it's Honda. They flatter to deceive occasionally, don't they?
Yes.
But you have this gut feeling that it won't be long before they give us another surprise, that there are going to be things happening.
I think we look forward to that. Moto2
after the 8 hour, maybe, Nick.
Yes, yeah. Oh, your 8 hour. We've got that all coming up. Manuel Gonzalez and Aaron Canet going well. 25 points between them. It's close, but sad news, I think, for British MotoGP fans. Jake Dixon going to World Superbike next year with Honda.
And Aaron Canet is talking openly about going.
Yeah.
We're assuming Ducati.
Yeah.
I mean, here we go with the train stopping once, Moto Grand Prix.
Yes, yeah.
How long ago were we talking about Aaron Canet as a pretty strong contender for a Moto Grand Prix ride?
Yeah. It was the same sort of time as Bastianini and people, wasn't it?
Yes.
We were looking at them, and
he was there.
Yeah.
But he hasn't quite, because he is second so often.
Yeah.
It may be that, but you never know, do you? And some people can deal with that extra power, and it's what they need to set his Gibernau and others, But I don't know if he's even had a test ride on a Moto Grand Prix. I can't bring one to mind.
Yeah.
But you've got to believe the train has left the station as far as his Moto Grand Prix.
That's right.
I
mean, look at Dixon. 6 Grand Prix wins. He's 5th in the World Championship.
Yeah.
Won 2 races this year. It's just sad to see him leave MotoGP, isn't it?
Boscoscuro. This is the difficult to judge him with being the Boscoscuro not being as competitive as it was.
Yeah.
But he's been there, 7 years now?
Yes, he has.
And when you look, this is the hard, but this is real life in the paddock. There are a few blokes ahead of him in the selection process, and there are not many saddles. As usual, there are far more talented riders than there are seats available.
Good to see Joe Roberts win again. We're talking about America. We're talking about Great Britain. It's nice to see another country up there, isn't it?
And we just settled for an Anglophone at this rate. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, again, back at the start of 2021, was it? He could have gone to Aprilia if he'd wanted.
Yeah.
Ready. And we all thought that's probably a good thing. And then next year, the Aprilia started looking really good.
Yeah.
And you think, has Roberts messed up? Has he missed the train?
Yeah.
But he's got over that nasty wrist injury. And
Which has definitely hampered him a lot, yeah.
Yeah. And he's young.
Yeah.
He's got the right passport. And he's fast.
Very, very much so. I think everybody used to moan, didn't they? Oh, if you're not Italian or not Spanish, you don't get a ride. Yeah. Actually, if you're American and British and you show any sort of promise, you do get a ride because they're desperate to get them on a MotoGP grid. And that's the way they were.
And Roberts is looking at the moment, as all the 8-hour meetings come up and things are decided and they will be announced in Austria, his name is going to be in the hat, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
A lot of factors.
Yeah. Rueda's running away with the Moto3. It's sort of it's Mark Marquez, isn't it?
It is.
7 wins, 85-point advantage. Yeah.
How do you do that in that class?
I really don't know.
It's
That's absolutely right.
that is the mark of the achievement in a class that competitive, managed equality in the machinery, very much managed equality, and
Yeah,
his racecraft and his ability
yeah,
to put himself in the right place at the right time, no matter what the opposition is doing, his plan works.
mm.
Remarkable.
And Scott Ogden,
There's
it's frustrating watching, isn't it?
it,
Because he's obviously got an enormous amount of talent.
he's fast, isn't he? He's got the speed.
Yeah,
You listen to him and you wonder if he's got, the self-belief isn't there, that he's not quite convinced he should be with these blokes.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I just think, I think we're one or two results away from him believing it.
Yes.
So my fingers are crossed, basically, because
Very important second half of the season for him.
I would say if he puts in a good second half of the season, you can see him with a good ride next year, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
If he doesn't, you can see him of being back to that train. It's gone.
Well, I think, summer break will be interesting. Marcus said he didn't want a summer break because he so enjoys
What a
winning.
surprise.
Yeah, he'll probably win whatever he's doing on the summer break. But there we go. Next one, 4 weeks' time in Austria at the Red Bull Ring.
Ducati friendly circuit, to put it mildly.
KTM have won there, haven't they, with Brad Binder when he took the gamble on the tyres. Yeah.
Have you heard the Brad Binder to Superbike rumours?
There's so many rumours about it.
Well, there are, yes.
Yeah.
And I think, and certainly if you're like an Aaron Canet, you're a long-term Moto2 rider, you're not going to be attracting a large salary, are you?
No, one would imagine so, no.
A factory ride in World Superbike would probably please the bank manager a lot more than a, top 10 Moto2 ride, wouldn't it?
Interesting times, and a lot will be, as you say, in Japan at the Suzuka 8-hour race. By the time we get to Austria, perhaps some things will, I'd not say sorted, but be pointing us in the right direction.
I think a lot of things will have been decided, but they won't necessarily tell us in Austria. The information will start coming out.
Yeah, start leaking through.
Exactly. Some deliberately, some not, of course.
Yeah.
But it's...
Last year we were talking about 70 years of motorcycle news and how different it was. And it made me think back to when I was doing Grand Prix in those, not 70 years ago, but a long time ago. God, it was different. First of all, there were 6 classes: 50, 125, 250, 350, 500 and sidecars. So quite a lot to do, and you had to type out the results. Type out with a bit of Tipex, was it, and the carbon paper, so that you had the copies. And then, I mean, the youngsters listening just won't believe this. So the early stuff that you did, the early material, like paddock gossip and any stories you were doing, you gave to a lady who would telex it back to your office for whatever circuit you're at in England. Dear old Norrie White was news editor, used to hold the telex up and pretend he could read it. Norrie used to go, oh yeah. But that was honestly that was the easy bit. Come Sunday night, you had to write your report, type out all the results, but your main aim in life was trying to find a telephone, because all that stuff, race report, results, had to, sometimes you could get them to telex the results, to be honest, but not always, but had to be phoned over. You had to, find a phone at the circuit, not easy. Do you stay at the circuit or do you go back to the hotel and hope you can find a phone and then get a reverse call charge to England, and then the wonderful people on the other end of the phone. Some could almost type as quick as you could speak. Wonderful.
These are the copy takers for young
Takers,
Start here.
yeah. And others, I never get, you'd say Barry Sheen, they go, how do you spell that? And you go, I'm here for at least 4 or 5 hours.
Yes.
And you were here for at least 4 or 5 hours. I can assure you, it was so very, very different. Finding the phone was unbelievable.
In somewhere like Czech Republic.
Rijeka, which was Yugoslavia still then. To get the phone lines in, they would take them off some of the local houses and bring them into the circuit. So you'd pick the phone up, you'd have Uncle so-and-so from, I don't know, speaking in, was it Yugoslavian? I suppose it was Yugoslavian. Know what was going and who they are. And it was a farce. And the dear lady who ran the phone service was always a little bit tipsy, quite a bit tipsy, drinking the local beverages. And honestly, it was just, you just wouldn't believe it. But
nowadays, you pick up one of these and press that, and it's done.
It was done. In 1987, we went to Japan for the very first time, to Suzuka, and they had the press centre in an enormous sports centre in not where it is now, but actually in the Suzuka circuit. In we went, and got it. They made us so very, very welcome at that first Grand Prix, and we got introduced to a man that told us, but I tell you, no, we didn't believe him, that you could get a bit of paper, you could put it in his machine, Mr. Fax, we called him, Mr. Fax, and he bowed every time we spoke to him. You could put it in the machine, and it would be received at the other end with all the copy on. Honestly, we just thought he was joking. Not a chance of it. He did it, and it worked. Mr. Fax had completely changed our lives in Grand Prix reporting, because everything we typed out, we could send.
Did you have a fax receiving machine at MCN?
Yeah, not at MCN, but I was at Motorcycle Weekly then in London.
So yeah,
and they did. Yeah. They called it. They didn't call it a fax, then they called it some strange name.
I had the same thing in Japan on the press launch of the CBR 600 and CBR 1000, and I was up against a monthly deadline. I had to get the copy over to the magazine before I got the flight back. And the hotel had a fax machine. Magazine didn't. I had to fax it to our typesetters.
Yes.
This again, this was the miracle. We made, next month's edition, because obviously with the magazine, you're writing it 6 weeks or something before it actually hits the book stands.
Yeah.
And if you miss your deadline, then it's 10 weeks before it hits the book stand. So I remember I too discovered the fax machine in Japan.
It completely turned our lives around, honestly. I also remember that they had no hot water in it shows that things weren't quite right. They had no hot water in this sports centre machine, really hot water, hot enough to develop film. Yeah, so the water wasn't hot enough, so the photographers were buying cans. You could buy hot tea, do you remember?
Yes.
And you could pour it into the sink, and they were developing their films with hot tea.
Again, photographers used to be in the back of vans and cars with dark boxes developing.
That's right, yeah.
Crazy, so different in a short period of time. I suppose people like Malcolm Bryan were using digital photography when he was your photographer for Rothmans.
Rothmans Honda, yeah.
We're talking middle to late 80s, I suppose.
Very much so. And it was, late 80s. And it was a revolution.
Yep.
I hadn't got the faintest idea what was going on. Where's the films? Then I get them and I have a look at the contact sheet. No, he'd send them. What? How?
Yes. What? How? It's it is. It doesn't mean that photography is any easier to do.
Absolutely
it just
not.
means it's more difficult to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
And you look now at transparency work by people like Don Morley and Malcolm Bryan, and it's still the best, still the gold standard.
Oh, absolutely right. And just one more story before we go on, because
Go
you
on.
and I like cricket, don't we?
We do.
I'm sure we've been watching the England-India Test match today and before. I'll tell you a little story about cricket and Kenny Roberts, who wasn't quite so keen on the game we love. It was the Salzburg, the Austrian Grand Prix. And again, in those days, things were so different. I'd organised that if Kenny won the race, he would put up on the start and finish grid before he went on the rostrum, take his helmet off. I would put a pair of earphones on him, and he would speak direct to the BBC in London.
Dangerous.
Wonderful, wonderful. Kenny Julie won the race. The Yamaha Julie stopped in front of me. Kenny takes his helmet off and puts the earphones on. Producer at the other end said, "Kenny Roberts?" "Yeah." He said, "Do you mind hanging on a couple of minutes? We've just got to go to the cricket at Chelmsford, Essex versus Middlesex." I won't say what Kenny said, but to his credit, he did the interview and everything, and he called me over after. He said, "Cricket?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Can last up to 5 days?" "Yes." "And it can still end in a draw?" "Yes." "Oh my God," he said, "that is completely crazy."
There was a Nick Harris cricket story I recall from my early days, about 2000, when we both ended up in the paddock again. And Jerry Burgess and the Aussies used to bet with you on the cricket, I recall.
They did. Oh, yeah.
And your assistant or series press officer, Eva, a Czech lady, of vast efficiency and scary demeanour, said to me once, "I know nothing about cricket. I just know it costs Nick a lot of money."
Quick story, Jerry. Saxon Ring, me and Gavin Emmett watching the Ashes. Jerry, very interested, comes into our room with Valentina. They'd won the race. They were going up on the rostrum. We're watching the cricket at the same time as commentating. One of the top Aussies was out. We write it out and put it in Jerry's top pocket. So off he goes. We watch on the screen. He goes onto the rostrum with Valentina, and we see him pick it out of his pocket and look at it, and he goes, and puts it back in his pocket. Me and Gavin, we couldn't speak, we couldn't commentate, and we were laughing so much.
Every time I would have a go at Jerry about, the cricket going England's way, he'd go, "Well, you see, Julian, I'm from Adelaide. That's really Aussie rules country. We don't take too much notice."
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
I took them all to the cricket at Lords once.
Nice one.
Honda team. It was great. Michael Atherton was the England captain. Well, sat with all of them. He was on 99. They weren't very happy, and he went to run for his 100th run, and he slipped over, and they ran him out.
That was going for the third run.
Yeah, yes, third run. That absolutely made their year. They thought that was the most wonderful thing that had ever happened.
I can't think of anything an Australian sports fan would enjoy more than that happening to an English.
No. That was my little present for them, to take them to Lords. There we go. So, what about next week? Well, Ballonton Park.
That is going to be
World Superbike. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Educational and interesting.
Yeah.
Superbike boys get to try it out first, probably without Scott Redding.
Oh, right.
Decided to stay riding the PBM Ducati in BSB.
The PSB, yeah.
And I think Taryn McKenzie will be on that.
Oh, really?
So
yeah.
That looks like Scotty is abandoning that ship.
Well, we've seen some wonderful times with him. That first win in Donington when he was 15 years old. Oh my golly! I got him on the Chris Evans BBC radio show. I'll never forget. They couldn't believe he was 15. He'd won a Grand Prix and the British Grand Prix.
Yeah, the first time we saw him at the first race of the year in Qatar, we didn't really know who he was because he'd never spent time on UK tracks.
Yeah,
no qualification, I think. But in practice and qualifying, he never followed anybody. And he took these big, wide, sweeping, fast lines into turn one, totally his own, copying nobody. And I remember thinking, oh, We've got something here, you know.
Didn't we just?
Yeah.
Didn't we just? Good old Scott, really, really good guy.
I like
Very, very good motorcycle racer.
and a
Yeah.
guy who had to put up with a lot and deal with a lot and managed
Yeah, in life, yes,
and managed
right.
it and was still
Yeah.
a thoroughly nice man.
Yeah, yeah. And we've got British Superbikes at one of your favourites, isn't it? Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. And one of my favourites. What a track.
One of everybody. Everybody loves that track. I mean, I'm not sure I'd want to ride around it as fast as some of those guys do, but in fact, any of those guys do. But it is still a wonderful, wonderful sight and a wonderful racetrack.
Yeah, I remember going to the Hutchinson 100 there, probably late 60s, when they reversed the direction, didn't they? And I can see it like yesterday. Mike Hayward on the 297 six-cylinder Honda and Phil Reed on the 250 four-cylinder two-stroke Yamaha, going hammer and tongs around there, but the wrong way round.
Yeah. The two Hutchinson 100s I went to, John Player Norton first and second in one of them. And then Dave Potter on the Ted Broad Yamaha.
Oh dear, Dave.
One,
Potter,
I think he won the last one I went to. I was dead impressed by the way he wheelied up the hill the wrong way round to the Druid's hairpit, you know.
Yeah.
And he was putting wheelies up there. That's powerful. And Nick, 2-minute warning.
Right. Well, I did go to Speedway last week. Bellevue did win, but absolutely superb meeting. Yeah, really. Good Speedway is fantastic to watch, isn't it? And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just thinking about next week, Jules, Buenos Aires, back on the Grand Prix calendar, so we'll have a little look at that. Che Guevara ride I had, and the Falklands War, and Motegi in the next 5 years, and perhaps a look at 1987, that first time back in Japan at Suzuka, when a British rider was in pole position. But I'm back to the cricket now with Kenny Roberts.